me Doc if you're confused. I'm just a human young officer, obviously, if I'm a lieutenant junior. And I think I'm in the process of being transferred to the Dicarius to act as a medical officer.
Yep. So just got word Edgeforder is not going to be able to make it, which I think I knew that last game, but I thought Colin/Camino would be able to make it, so I might have got them two mixed up. Either way, we're going to continue. So, to recap last game, Security Chief Odom Ishar has been permanently transferred to Starbase 117 for quote-unquote special assignment. So that would leave Lieutenant Commander Shamar as the new Security Chief of the Dicarius. Yep. The RRW, or Romulan Republic Warbird Dicarius, ETA to Starbase 123 is 2 hours. The USS Olympic, the Olympics ETA to Starbase 123 is 4 hours. I'm going to move you guys to the galactic map where you will be able to see your locations. So, looking to the right, you see Starbase 123 is here. The Dicarius is there, currently heading towards Starbase 123, and the USS Olympic is here. Looks like on the map that you guys are relatively close, but it is space, so it's all relative. The Olympic has just passed Zalda, which is the home of the Zaldans, a Federation race, and has come from the Romulan neutral zone, or come from the Jarret sector, by way of the neutral zone. And yeah, you guys are almost equal distance apart from Starbase 123. We'll say at this point in time, Lieutenant Vosky is head deep in the research of the parasite, which is why he is not going to be available. So to do any research that will kind of be of any meaning to Starfleet and the Romulan Republic, he will be inaccessible. So if you have any questions, he will not be able to be asked those questions because he has not got any answers yet. He is in his lab doing research, we'll say with Dr. Nari, so that we can also explain her absence as the NPC, that leaving you guys with Centurion Drusilla as your acting Chief Medical Officer. So, if I remember correctly from last game, Lieutenant Commander Shamar and Colonel Karava wanted to interrogate Lieutenant Commander Frost, aka the Parasite. Is that still accurate?
I don't believe that was me. I believe it was someone else. Or no. Someone else brought it up, and then I... Yeah.
Okay. Well, I also added you there because you're the Chief of Security, so I kind of assumed...
Yeah, that was why.
So, is Karava, do you still want to interrogate Lieutenant Commander Frost? You there, Karava? Might have just muted and stayed muted. Happens a lot on these apps.
I will, but I don't remember exactly what I'd want to interrogate him about. I guess about being a worm.
Yeah, just being a worm. So as another quick recap, the current known antagonists are at the very least two. The neuroparasites, obviously, and the crew of a prototype Romulan dreadnought, scale 8, who happen to be allied with the parasites. You're not exactly sure as to what the reason is or anything like that, but you do know that they are allied because every time one shows up, the other shows up. The dreadnought's last known coordinates are still filed away on the Romulan shuttle, but are probably no longer accurate anyway. It is up to you guys if you would like to open that file to find out what the coordinates were, but like I said last time, it is up to you. You can completely just leave it on the shuttle if you want to.
What do you think,
I guess we
Karava?
could open up the files.
All right.
Sure.
So do you just take them off the shuttle and where you know go to the bridge? You go to a lab. You go to the ready room. Where do you want to access those files?
I'll go to
That's
a
it.
conference room and I'll invite a random group of people who are here at the moment.
I will volunteer.
All right. So we'll assume the security chief, the operations officer, Vosky obviously being too busy, chief engineer probably doing some maintenance and engineering. All right. So you guys get there and you do discover, keeping you guys on the map, that a few hours ago at least, the dreadnought was. If you're looking south of the little green box where the Alcatraz was detected or found, there is a planet here called Mariposa. I'm actually gonna let you guys see. What's up?
It's the name of my nothing. It's the name of my county.
Oh, really? That's funny. Um, so yeah, basically, I don't know if you can. Hopefully, you can see the orange dot. That is,
Yes.
and I'll go ahead and tell you for free. Mariposa Colony is a human-ish colony that deals with clones, believe it or not. Apparently, at a certain stage in the past, their cloning procedure was kind of being degraded. As that happens when you clone people and then keep cloning them and then clone the clones and essentially just keep cloning.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's degraded. But they were reintroduced to some other colonists that kind of mixed with their genetics and basically were able to kind of create a new species. Still human, but just a better gene pool, so to speak. However, you do know that based on that file that the dreadnought was there probably about 12 hours ago, and probably not there anymore, but who knows? Maybe it is. As of now, does anyone have any questions of those of you who are in the conference room on the Dicarius?
What
Yeah,
was
I'll
the
just kind of.
ship? The dreadnought. That's the one that's working with not the one the Tal Shiar General was on. What was it? That was another
No.
ship. That was
There's been a lot of Romulan ships going around. This particular one you have not seen yet.
okay.
Okay. Look,
Uh,
Colonel.
so I think we should probably return back to base 123 first to make sure all our stuff is in order for the ship. Then
Yeah,
maybe we should go investigate the colony.
I concur, sir.
Eh,
We got to get rid of these prisoners.
Um.
And I mean, even just the potential for research for all of these guys is. I mean, if we return not one, but what was it like? Something like 50 plus. I mean, it seems pretty important.
But we'll do
Gee.
some interrogating on the way back though.
Sure. Do you have any like specific questions you want to ask, Colonel? So I'll interrogate with the best of them, Cardassian. What
Yeah,
are
I'm
we?
just-
What
I'm
are we
just-
really trying to get here?
I just want to know what branch of the Tal Shiar that they were working for, mostly.
Yes, that could be very important. Covering something like that would be interesting.
So, Colonel Lex, do you have something to add?
Can I roll for the research, GM?
For the research, what are you researching specifically?
While they're talking, GM.
Executive.
Sorry, I was muted again. What are you researching specifically?
Rolling for the research of the colony of the clone,
Ah,
cloning things.
you know what? I'm just gonna give you the memory alpha page because that's easier for me. Essentially, the only thing you really get is what I've already told you. But if you can glean any other insight from the memory alpha page, by all means. There hasn't been any significant issues with the colony. There's not been any significant communiques from the colony. All of the reports to the Federation and Starfleet have been on time. There hasn't been anything out of the ordinary. The only thing out of the ordinary, obviously, being that this massive Scale 8 dreadnought, which is probably like twice, 2 or 3 times the size of a Dederidex, has been seen there. Other than that, everything seems normal.
Okay.
If there are any specific questions you want to ask, you can ask me, and then I can decide if that's a roll. But otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much it.
So just out of game really quick, we're just kind of seeing like another like plot thread that we could or could not interact with.
It's hard to answer that as the GM without answering that.
Sorry, that was framed a little weird. You said there was a ship like that had been there recently, and that it was a cloning facility, but we don't really have much other to go on beyond that. I mean,
Right.
I don't see any reason why we shouldn't just continue on to the starbase.
Yeah, and like I said, this is a 12-hour-old
Yeah.
coordinate.
Okay.
He's pretty much Colonel Lex is just doing the research. So when we do get there eventually, at least he knows what we're going to be walking into.
I'll ask Colonel Lex. Could she see if there were any logs on this ship with see the logs for any communications that have been happening since the worms had taken control of the ship?
That's a good one. Roll control engineering. Oh, I'll say control or reason. I'll let you decide. Engineering, difficulty 1.
Roll.
What was that? I didn't hear you.
Or use control.
Okay. Yep, that's probably your best.
Yeah.
I love the do in the background.
Yeah, I've been, like I said earlier, I've been trying to make this a bit more cinematic and everything for YouTube, but
Yeah.
it's only been 4 years. I'm
It's-
still learning.
it's so strange playing in a just like any tabletop RPG without music, but I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how you would really even use Star Trek music. So
Well, it's not necessarily, at least for me, it's not necessarily the music or the sound effects. Like, I would love to use all that stuff.
True.
It's the fact that I'm a GM that's very badly coordinated and also very badly. I have a terrible memory, so like
fair.
remembering to do all that shit. And I've tried to get like co-GMs to do stuff like that, but it's like, we all have. Either bad memories or just other things that we're worried about, and so sound effects is like low on our list essentially. All right, so
yeah,
two successes, so that gives you guys 1 momentum. So Mac, if you want to keep that note. So yeah, you don't find any suspicious activity in the communications or computers since you've detained the neural parasites. All reports and logs have been normal. There have been a few messages here and there, between officers about like, I've heard rumors that we have neural parasites among us. What in the world is that about? Like, other than that, like, you're not detecting anything out of the ordinary.
all right,
Nothing out of the
here we
norm.
come.
Nothing out of the ordinary yet. Colonel?
All of a sudden, you hear a beeping from the console on your desk, Colonel Carava, or not on the desk, on the wall, because you're in the conference room, which I didn't account for. I should have. But you see it's a message from Starbase 123. Not a message.
Okay,
It's a hail. I'll say it's a hail.
All right. I will get up and I'll push the button to accept it.
All right, and on the screen above is Captain. Got to look at her name again because I always randomize these silly freaking names that I can never remember. Where is it? Afuli. Captain Afuli. And she says, Colonel Carava, I need an update on your status. Give me a report.
We've recovered the prototype ship. And we are returning back to 123.
Since the former CMO of the Dicarius was killed in combat with the Dreadnought, I'm assigning a new chief medical officer with the with the coordination of the Romulan Republic, they have agreed to send a Dr. Megara Engstrom to be your new chief medical officer. And then you see, by the way, do you want Centurion Drusilla, your chief medical officer, in the conference with you, or no, Karava?
Oh yeah, she'll be there.
Okay, so Centurion Drusilla kind of looks around nervously and a little bit offended. She's kind of looking to Karava to kind of back her up and like ask like, you know, why are you doing this to me? But she's not going to step out of line. She's not going to say anything.
I will say we still currently do have a chief medical officer, but I suppose more assistance, more crew would be useful.
Centurion Drusilla and Dr. Nari will be reassigned once they get to Starbase 123, as per the orders of the Federation or Starfleet Command and the Romulan Republic High Command. They have ways of wanting to study and protect against these neural parasites and whatever this strange dreadnought is out there. And that is the orders, and that is the orders that I am relaying to you, Colonel. If you have any complaints, let Drusilla, or Centurion Drusilla, know that she can file them with the Romulan Republic herself.
Okay. Acknowledged, and I don't think there's anything else more to say to her, so transmission over.
Alright, she disappears.
That's a mic drop.
Yep.
Don't ask questions.
I don't know any other questions to ask. I'll put my shoulder on the chief medical officer and say, this is good that you're getting a new assignment. You could be more it'd be more useful for you to research ways to, due to your nature of close proximity to parasites, it'd be good for you to be leading the study of ways to deal with them.
I'll kind of saunter into the conversation, shake her hand, and I'm sure you'll get on the next ship anyway.
She gives you like a smile, which is strange because you haven't really seen her smile or really express any emotion. But she gives you a smile and she says, "Thank you, Commander Shamar." And how are you doing? She kind of gestures to your recently healed chest as she asks that.
Yeah, he visibly darkens for a second, like his face is just like genuinely like just happy go lucky or whatever, and then kind of like visibly darkens. I'll survive.
She nods and says, "It was a chaotic moment for all of us, but and I know there's not a ship's counselor aboard, but if you ever need to talk, I hope you don't completely discount my assistance."
Yeah, he laughs and says, brings up the darkness a little bit, but still. And you'll say, I lost train of thought. He'll just kind of say, I'm sure I wouldn't have made it out of the hallway if it was for you, so thank you.
She nods and looks around and says, "Well, it has been fun, but I must go pack my bags. We've only got an hour and 52 minutes until we get to the starbase." And she makes her way out of the conference room.
Okay, that's good. Okay, we'll head to the brig now, I suppose.
All right. So we are going to now, as you guys are making your way to the brig, we are going to shift to the Olympic, the hospital ship that is transporting dozens of scientists and medical professionals to Starbase 123 to assist in the, like I said before, the protection from and the research of these neural parasites. ETA is 3 hours and 49 minutes to Starbase 123. So, as this is just essentially a glorified transport ship for Dr. Engstrom, what is her level of, I guess, she's only supposed to be, really in temporary quarters here. She doesn't really have a posting. So what is she doing? What is her level of, like, what is the word I'm looking for? integration, I suppose, into the crew and the other passengers aboard this hospital ship?
Well, Dr. Engstrom was serving aboard a previous posting and then suddenly was ordered by Starfleet Command to transfer. So she's kind of just got her bag right next to her and is kind of looking around. She doesn't really know anybody on this ship, although she recognizes the uniforms at least, so she knows she's among friendly company. So she's mostly keeping to herself, just kind of looking through some notes that she's been making based off of what Starfleet has given her about her new posting.
Do we all kind of like meet her in an airlock or something, or does she kind of just like?
Well, you guys aren't. You're light years away from her at the moment, so I'll let you know when.
Oh, right. Sorry.
All right. So, being this is just like I said before, a glorified passenger ship for the moment. You do have a roommate that you guys have been probably on the ship, roomed together for a couple of days as you're traveling from essentially the other side of the quadrant. His name is Lieutenant Eric Sellers, and he doesn't seem to spend really any time. He is a passenger like you. However, besides sleeping, he doesn't really spend a whole lot of time in the quarters. He pretty much spends all of his time either assisting, with the ship's science officers or medical staff, or just, spending time in the holodeck or researching various topics on his own on his free time. But you said you're not specifically venturing out to get to know anybody or anything like that. However, one of these times while you happen to be in your temporary quarters, he does kind of come in looking a little bit more frazzled than usual, a little bit more stressed, definitely a little bit. His face is kind of darkened red, as if he's kind of, I wouldn't say angry, but definitely looking a bit more upset than usual. And like I said before, you've only been on the ship for a couple of days, but you can kind of tell, obviously being a medical officer, when someone is upset. Especially, Mr. Sellers is not hiding it at all. He just kind of storms in, drops a duffel bag, and looks around and sees you, and he says, "Well, I didn't expect to see you here." And he says, "Oh wait, yeah, I did, because you're always here."
Yep, I'm a creature of habit. What can I say? But are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. I just had a little bit of I guess I'd call it an almost argument with the chief engineer of this ship. Their bioneural gel packs are becoming infected, and I was trying to get him to change them out, and he didn't want to do that. So, but it's not my problem. I'm just a passenger after all, like you. And he kind of hangs his head.
Yeah. And speaking of path, where are you heading exactly? Like, I know we're both headed to the same starbase, but what happens after?
Apparently, from there, we're supposed to be reassigned to various ships and bases in the Federation and Romulan territories. My specific location has not been divulged to me yet, but I assume it's either Starbase 123 or maybe the assigned ship to it, USS Silent Odyssey. I hope it's that ship. It's a relatively new ship, and it's, a new class of ship. So, but again, I haven't been given my orders yet. What about you?
Well, as far as I know, I'm supposed to still be rendezvousing with the RRW Dicarius. It sounds like, well, I'm still not entirely sure what all's happening. There's a lot of redactions in these documents I'm going through. So I'm not sure what all they want me to do, and they're not going to tell me everything. But I don't know, it's sometimes Starfleet Command likes to keep things hush-hush.
Yeah, I don't know much at all except some kind of threat is out there that we're supposed to be researching. I don't know. Apparently, if they wanted me to know, they would have told me. So apparently, whatever my job is going to be, it's going to have something else entailed rather than whatever it is you'll end up doing.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know exactly what they want from me, but they mentioned something about my neurology background, so I guess it's... So who knows? Hopefully it's not just a bunch of crazy people needing some meds, because I don't know why they need to pull me out for that.
Yeah, and then as soon as he begins talking again, the ship immediately, unexpectedly, comes out of warp, and then veers slightly to starboard. Well, actually, veers slightly to port, and then begins going to warp again, which is very, very unusual. I mean, even for you guys being passengers on a starship like this, anytime a ship has to come out of warp to make some kind of course correction, that's not good, because generally speaking, all of that is taken care of before you go to warp. Eric Sellers looks out a porthole, sees the space, the stars flying at him, and then looks back to you. He says, "Well, that was interesting. I guess they needed to make a minor course correction." He goes and sits down at a desk.
I guess.
So you guys are going to be at warp for another 20 minutes. Is there anything else that you would like to do?
I think I'm just going to keep looking through these documents and trying to make heads or tails.
Okay.
Maybe I'll write a quick note to one of my old colleagues on the ship that I left, just to let them know that I'm still okay, but I still don't know what I'm getting myself into.
I'm gonna need you to make a roll. So pull open your character sheet. So this is gonna be your first roll of the game, as far as I know. This is probably going to be I'm going to say it's a con roll, and you're going to get mad at me because you asked me specifically if you need to put any points in con, and I said no. But I wasn't actually expecting you to make this roll. This is kind of a spur of the moment thing, and this is just to see if your character happens to notice the direction that the ship has course changed. And it's perfectly fine if your character doesn't, because you're, generally speaking, a passenger who is a science officer or medical officer would not have any real reason to know why their ship has changed course or anything like that. But click on con and then click on insight, and the difficulty is going to be 1. What that means is basically you just, out of the 2 dice that you're going to end up rolling, unless you want to spend the 1 momentum that you guys got to increase that to 3 dice, but basically out of the 2 dice that you're going to be rolling, you just need to have 1 success, and so your insight and con together are 11, so that means you're going to need to roll under 11 to get a success, which is roughly 50-50, and just let me know when you're ready to do that. And in this case, your focus of investigation would apply, so you can click on yes for that as well.
Hang on, I'm trying to get my sheet pulled up.
That's all good. It looks like, and this is just from my perspective, so it might be wrong, but it looks like on Roll20 you keep bouncing in and out. Is that a connection issue, or is that...
Yeah, it's
okay.
My modem is having fits, so I'm trying to do this off of my phone.
Oof. Well, in that case, do you have any actual dice? Because as far as I know, the Roll20 app sucks.
I don't have any physical dice with me now.
Okay. Well, if you want, I could roll it for you, or if you're confident in
How about you just roll? If my internet magically comes back and
okay.
I can do it on my computer, I'll let you know. But you might have to roll for me
okay,
for
no
the time being.
All right, and like I said, this is one of those things where, like, for example, if you were sitting on a bus, and then the bus suddenly took a different turn that you weren't expecting, you might not necessarily notice it, but you might also. So I'll roll for you, and wow, so you got 2 successes. So that puts you up to, Mac, I believe, 2 momentum, right?
Yes.
All right, so I look and see how much thread I have, because I might want to use that at some point. So yeah, you definitely notice that just the way the ship stopped and changed course, it didn't feel like a normal course change. So normally you can change course at warp anyway. This should not have happened. The only thing that this could mean is that either somebody has changed course from somewhere other than the bridge or the helm, which would be the easiest way to do it, or somebody did it in a way to where they had to bypass something, which means they had to kind of get around the main helm control or the command center on the bridge. Not necessarily that they really cared that someone found out, but more that they needed to make this course change quickly and without having to go through a bunch of red tape. Whether or not that means anything to your character is a different story, though. But your character would know that this was highly unusual, and yeah. So, what do you do anything about it? Do you say anything, or you just kind of go about your business?
You said that we're all going to the same starbase, right?
Supposed to be, yes. But by this course change, you know that is no longer the destination.
Why did we just change course? You
Are you
felt that
asking
too,
the?
didn't you?
Mr. Sellers looks at you and is like, "Huh? What? Oh, yeah. Sometimes that happens. Maybe the chief engineer finally decided to replace some bioneural gel packs.
Why would replacing bioneural gel packs cause us to change course?
He kind of sighs. I don't know. It's a new ship, or no, this ship isn't new. I'm thinking of the other one. It's an older ship. Maybe they just needed to realign the navigational arrays or something."
She's not convinced. She doesn't really have anything else to offer to this conversation.
All right, probably 15 minutes later, after just kind of hanging out in your quarters, not really doing anything, the ship once again comes out of warp. And you get both of you, Sellers and Engstrom, get a strange sensation, almost like tingling in your skin, and and I don't know how to really describe it. Like, I've felt it before, but it's kind of like a tingling sensation, like something's wrong. Sellers looks around and he says, "Wow, did you feel that? What is that?"
Goosebumps.
Yeah, goosebumps, but it's more like inside. It's kind of like, a shiver runs up your spine. You could definitely feel some, goosebumps too, but there's definitely something going on. There's definitely something wrong, and you're not really sure what it is. But then you feel the ship shudder slightly.
That doesn't feel right either.
Sellers kind of jumps up and heads to the door, and he says, "I'm going to find out what's going on. And do you want to come with me, or do you want to stay here?"
I'm going to go with you. Safety in numbers.
Sounds good to me. And he heads out. The door's open. But outside in the corridor, it's a little bit more dim than normal. There's no red alert lights or anything like that, but it's definitely, the lights do feel a bit more dim. And then a couple officers are walking down the corridor. One of them is in gold and the other is in blue, and they're kind of talking back and forth to each other. The guy in gold kind of holsters a Type 2 phaser, and they're kind of, I wouldn't say they're whispering, but it's definitely a hushed tone as they're going back and forth. Like, I don't know what it is. It could be anything. Blah, blah. And they kind of try to brush past you. And one of them, the one in blue, he says, "You need to go back to your quarters. We're handling it."
Aye, sir. I might just wait till he continues down and then just keep following whatever whatever my buddy's doing.
So, yeah, that was kind of what Sellers was going to do too. He looks over. He sees like a Jeffries tube access area, and as soon as I find that page, there it is. He kind of gestures over there to you, and you guys head over. All of a sudden, the red alert lights do come on, and the atmosphere becomes a lot more darker, and you hear a voice which you would probably recognize as the captain of the ship, an Andorian man named Treville. He says, "All hands, be aware we are about to have intruders. Stay away from..." And then there's static, and then all of a sudden, all power on the ship goes completely offline. All you have is auxiliary power. And emergency environmental power. He's got a picture. Yep, I have a picture of a Jeffrey tube.
This fucking DM, man. I love it. This is great.
So we are going to jump, unless there's something that you want to do in this at this immediate moment, we're going to jump to the other guys.
I'll just I'll stay in the Jeffries tube.
Okay. And this isn't really like you're not crawling in a Jeffrey tube. It's more of like an access area from the corridor, so you're still upright. But let me jump to Karava and Shamar. You guys wanted to interrogate somebody, am I correct?
Yeah. And I will request the presence of Colonel Lex as well.
All right.
Oh, Lieutenant Colonel would say, it's better off if I stay on the bridge.
Yeah. Who wants to be on the bridge? It's got to be either Karava or Lex. One of you has to be on the bridge.
Oh. Okay, I'll have Lex on the bridge.
All right.
Yeah.
So Karava, the Tal
I can't
Shiar.
resize Jigmar.
I
can't.
Well, I put him that size so that he could look like he was sitting up on the thing. But yeah, you can make him.
Oh.
I also made Karava a bit bigger than normal.
No matter what shot Shamar's in, he's just always sitting somehow.
All right, so where do you start? At the bottom of this screen, there are 3 Romulan lieutenants. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 Ulans, aka ensigns, and 3 Starfleet personnel and 1 Reman who are controlled by parasites. What do you want to do? Who do you want to start with?
Before we enter the room, I'll just inform Commander Shamar. Just go with whatever I'm saying.
Yeah, you got it. You take
I believe
I'm a bit surprised there's a Reman. I thought they might have been somehow immune to the parasite. Like
Nope.
maybe the chemicals wouldn't have worked with the system or something.
These parasites don't discriminate, man.
there might be a reason why he is the only one so far that you've encountered, but as far as you know, there is no special reason why they cannot infest them.
Okay. I will walk up
Maybe
to.
I'll recommend to Grava. Maybe the Vulcan's the way to go.
Yeah. Okay. We'll walk up to the Vulcan.
All right.
I'll just ask. What? So what branch of the Tal Shiar are the parasites working with?
He remains silent, which is totally unexpected. Am I right?
No, I mean, it was either going to be that or he was going to talk. So I was figured we might as well talk to him. All right. Shamar just doesn't even fucking try. He he just walks to the next dude.
Yeah, we'll walk to the next one.
All right. So this is let me pull him up.
This is Hayden Christensen, but Starfleet.
Yeah. Let's see. What is his name?
Yep.
This is his great-great-grandson, Georgie Christensen.
Yeah, he is an engineer. He is an engineer named
Right.
Ukar Itren. He is
And what's his rank?
a crewman.
Crewman? Oh, okay. So the crewmen wouldn't even really know that much.
Inherently,
Commanding officer.
they're all a hive mind. I think they all know.
The parasites roughly know the same thing. I mean, there might be having great distances between them might have, separate a little bit, but for the most part, yeah, they are hive mind. They would know relatively the same thing. It's just a matter of who's gonna talk and who isn't.
Yeah, I'll ask him. So what branch of the Tal Shiar is the worms working with?
He, unlike the Vulcan who just stares straight ahead and does not even look at you, he looks at you and then looks back down and stares straight ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll go with the Reman.
Alright. You asked him the same question?
I'll ask him the same question.
He just grins and then remains silent. Make an insight command check. Insight
I'm
command
just gonna
check.
pull Krava. I'm gonna pull Krava to the side, and I'm just gonna say it doesn't look like typical Starfleet methods are gonna work here. If you want, we could get a little violent, but that's up to you, sir.
Well, we're not in Starfleet, but we're not.
We're still
Oh, yeah.
working with Starfleet, though.
All right, so you
Oh, shit.
you rolled twice.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine.
I forgot.
happens.
I was thinking of another dice system. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Ray, like, you gotta.
So you guys are up to 3 momentum, Mac. And you first of all, you think that just number one, just asking people questions isn't going to really get anything. But number two, you think that regardless of anything, that regardless of what they know, the likelihood of them actually giving you any information, at least the ones that you've spoken to, is probably pretty low. The person that you actually got the most emotion from, as far as like when you actually physically met them and dealt with them, was Lieutenant Commander Frost, who seemed to be the one in charge of all of them. You might be able to get information from her, but it's not going to be easy, and you don't think the typical just asking questions is going to work. And the other thing I will tell you is you also don't think they're working with the Tal Shiar. Just the way that they're reacting to you. Like the guy that looked at you like he was confused for a second. Like you don't think they're working with the Tal Shiar.
Okay.
So, how non-Starfleet do we want to take this? Returning to my conversation from earlier.
No, we're not going to torture them or anything. We're just...
Seymour just audibly laughs at that. That might be a little far.
Well, yes,
actually,
but whip around a phaser or a knife or something, maybe.
Actually, though,
play a little good pop bad cop.
Do you say that out loud? Hold on. Do you say that out loud?
No.
Okay, because
he laughs and then immediately goes back to a whisper.
Okay, so if you had said that out loud, the one of the Ulans would have looked to you and said that didn't work out too well for you last time.
yeah.
That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna wait though, because I've got a plan. I'm gonna go talk to. I'm gonna look up the Frost, and I want you to ask me that question again.
Yeah.
You want to ask
Shaymar
Frost?
does it in his most.
So I want subject to ask me the same question. Do we want to torture them?
Oh, okay.
Essentially.
In front of Frost.
Yeah, I want you to ask. I want you to ask me that.
Which only one person is probably gonna get this, but every time I say Frost, I keep almost saying Frosk. So anyway, moving on from that. Yeah, so you say that in front of her. Make a presence and command roll. I'm not going to tell you the difficulty, because you wouldn't know what the difficulty is. But this is going to be your ability to convey what you want to convey in front of her or to her.
Ooh, I've got something, Karava. Go ahead and make the roll.
Because essentially,
well, both of you can roll.
So
It's going to be the presence command is basically, I'm considering it as a conversation between you two. So whoever's going to make the main roll, and then the other person can assist.
Ooh,
okay, that was not good.
Okay. So seeing that does not go well, Shaymar will once again pull Karava to the side, and he says, "I think I've got something." Tell him we've come up with a brilliant new Starfleet. As many lies as you want to. Tell him we've come up with a brilliant plan, a brilliant actual surgery procedure to remove the parasite from them without harming the host. Threaten them with that, and we'll say something like, "We'll remove all of the parasites if you don't start talking."
Okay, but I want to do this thing first. I want to convince them to make them think that we want to work with them.
Can you say that out loud to me?
I'm not saying it in front of them.
Yeah, I'm assuming this conversation is happening away from
them. Okay. I say I don't think that's gonna work. I mean, why would they cooperate with us? There's no reason for them to cooperate with us. Even if we threaten them with killing them, the parasite will most likely still escape. We need something more.
I want to see if I want to try and find out what they know first through friendly sort of means.
Yeah.
I just want to see if they don't, they might spill out something they don't intend that intend to be relevant. That could be relevant. That's what I mean. So I want to see if we can convince them that we could want to work with them. Like me being in a Tal Shiar and you being someone who wants to make a more militarized federation could be a way, like using them as some sort of like working with them to make like better soldiers or something.
The problem with that, though, is what host would be willing?
That part doesn't matter. We can just say, um, we just inject like implant them anyway. Make a more obedient population or something.
I highly advise against that, Colonel. I think the ramifications of that alone were
No, I'm just changing stuff. Don't worry about it.
you are once again muted, GM, but I heard red alert for a second. What's going on?
Oh yeah, that's
I was
background
just
music.
changing it. Don't worry about it. Keep going.
Okay. I'll say just the ramifications of that. We would essentially be selling these 8 people into permanent slavery to this, mind
No,
parasite.
but
Even if we were allowed to do it, Starfleet would
no,
never approve.
we're not gonna actually do it. We just want them to think that we're going to do it. So they
Yeah,
might be more
that's also
inclined
fair.
to say something.
That's fair.
I don't actually want to do that. I want to make them think that I want to do that. There's something
All
that
right,
that's
so
probably something that they might think that Tal Shiar might want to do or something. So yeah. Um. So I'll get back. I'll walk back up to Colonel Frost and I'll ask her. So is there a head parasite that we could talk to?
You can speak to me.
A head worm that we could talk to? I mean, I don't say parasite. I say head worm.
She just grins at you and says, "You can speak to me."
Okay. I was just So just let me think.
Okay. Mutual benefits for both parties, obviously. She doesn't say anything. You'll notice that whenever you make statements, she doesn't really respond. She just kind of stares ahead. But if you ask her direct questions, she would probably answer, even if it was a bit, on the snarky side. What's to say they don't already do? Yep. Do the insight command difficulty 3, and it's going to be contested. So it not only has to be difficulty 3, but it has to be greater than hers. So if she gets 4 successes, it's got to be more than that. All right. All right. So that. Investigation. Yep. Are you getting rid of it with a 2 momentum? All right. So you're down to 0 momentum. Whew. So either way, all you can tell is when you're looking at her, she just stares straight ahead, cold faced. One might say frostbitten. She just stares ahead. We'll do the other thing. Can you repeat that last part? It went very robotic and skipping, Shamar. Hmm. Okay, so the procedure is that you're talking about is just removing the parasite, right? Okay. Who do you start with? Because they're not going to move until you physically actually try to start with someone. All right. And then you'll just what? Okay. As you do that, we're going to go to the bridge. Colonel Lex, you are in the command chair when you get a distress call. Strangely enough, you recognize the distress call from the USS Olympic, but it is coming from a beacon that has been launched from the Olympic. It is not coming from the ship itself. The only reason to do this would be if you were under attack, for example, and you were losing power and you didn't have the power to send out a distress call from the ship. So, what do, Mr. Lex? He does, or he orders somebody on the crew to go in that direction. Alright, well, tell them. Roleplay it. Don't just say you're going to do it. The helmswoman up front glances over her shoulder at Lieutenant Colonel Lex. Says, "Aye, sir. Diverting to the distress call. We will be within range within 45 minutes. Increasing to maximum warp." All right. Go ahead. Karava. Do you want to leave Shamar down there in the brig? Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I figured was going to happen. I think he's saying that in front of him so that it gives them time to think and want to turn on each other or something, but I get it, yeah. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and recite something real quick. Acting Chief Medical Officer's log, Centurion Drusilla reporting, Stardate 78401 Mark 8. We are in route, or we are in, actually, what sector are you guys in? Let's see. This is the Zalda sector. We are in the Zalda sector investigating the disappearance of the USS Olympic. After over half an hour in this unpopulated region of space, we found a promising lead. The Dicarius sensors have detected the presence of subspace interference. The Olympic was on a special assignment, transporting science and medical personnel to Starbase 123 for reassignment. To assist in the research of the old enemy, the neuroparasites, I could only surmise that something went terribly wrong. So we're going to go back to the Olympic real quick. If I remember correctly, you were at the Jeffries 2 page. So Eric Sellers and Dr. Engstrom, after everything kind of went to hell, red alert went out, everything just, power seemed to shut down. You immediately started seeing crew members around you being beamed up in a green Romulan transporter beam. Eric Sellers pretty much is like, the Romulans are turning on us? He just kind of looks scared and he says, "We have to figure out what's going on." And he says, "Let's cut through these. We'll cut through the Jeffries tube and we'll try to find an armory or something. Maybe we can get to a porthole or external sensors and figure out what's out there. I hate not knowing what's going on." As you guys are crawling through this Jeffries tube, you hear another Romulan transporter beam a little bit closer. And you're looking around, and you hear a familiar sound that sounds something like this. And after a moment of looking, you see a Tribble kind of crawling around in the Jeffries tube. However, it has got Borg cybernetics all over it. And it is coming towards you. Sellers is just like stared, like his eyes are open, his mouth is agape. He doesn't even know what to do. He's just scared stiff. But what is this? Who would send this? Why would anyone? It's so inefficient. We could literally crawl faster than this thing can chase us. It makes no sense. Only a psychopath would do this. Okay. He begins crawling. You guys are crawling through the Jeffries tubes, and you come out the Jeffries tubes close to astrometrics, and he looking around, and you hear another transporter beam, and you see two Romulans, each with disruptor pistols, walking around the corner. They don't seem to have noticed you. Is there anything that you want to do? He is the same rank as you, by the way. So if you have any better ideas, then he'll definitely listen. Yeah, no, I know. So yeah, basically, I mean, I'm not. So in the way the way Star Trek Adventures is everything is super abstract and generic and vague. So if you're on, as long as you're on the same deck as which you are, then you can pretty much get there within the time of plot. So if you want to go there, we could say it's just around the corner or something like that. Okay. Yeah. All right. So you close the door, and he's like, "Man, I wish we could find a phaser." And as you guys are, as those Romulans have disappeared around a corridor, he's like, "Maybe I can. I've been studying the Vulcan nerve pinch. If I sneak up behind them, I may be able to grab their disruptor and do the Vulcan neck pinch, and maybe, just maybe, we'll have a weapon." You don't think, just based on the sound of his voice, he doesn't sound very confident in his ability to do that. He looks back and forth because in one direction he says that, stellar cartography is that way, or astrometrics is that way, and then down the other the other direction is the direction the Romulans went. And he says, if we could get to astrometrics, we might be able to send a message or at least scan outside of the ship to see what the hell is going on, what hit us. But I mean, I mean, they're both. It depends. To be honest, I've only practiced the Vulcan nerve pinch once, and it was on my dog. Okay. So you guys, yeah. Okay, so you guys head towards astrometrics. I wonder, did I keep the astro? Oh, I did. Yes. I don't have to actually look for it. So you actually guys get to astrometrics. You got all these other people in here that don't need to be here. All right, there we go. You get to astrometrics relatively easily. And you can see the screen of astrometrics, because it's like a big, huge map basically. But it's basically like static at this point. Something is going on, causing just a lot of static, and it doesn't look very functional. And if it is, it's about as functional as, some people's internet connection. Like it could come and go at any time. So what do you want to do? With the power the way it is, yeah. Like when you got to astrometrics, the door was halfway open, so like you could force it closed, but it would be forced because like the only thing that's on right now is like environmental stuff, like to keep you alive. Everything else is pretty much shut down. So you'd have to manually close the door if you wanted to, or you can have him guard it and figure out astrometrics and what you want to do there. It's up to you. Those are just my ideas. Well, his is too. His is a 1. I don't. Yeah. He's not that great either. As you guys are trying to figure out what's going on and what to do, you do hear something a little bit more, or I should say, a little bit less uniform as far as the way it moves, kind of galloping down the corridor. I'm not gonna say it's like a monster, a mutant or anything like that, but it definitely, there's something asymmetrical about the way it moves, and it's coming in your general direction. Okay. So it's going to be I'll say fitness or control, whatever's higher is fine. Okay. And okay, and it's going to be security as well. Or engineering, but your security is higher, I believe. And sellers will assist. You want me to roll for you on your character sheet? All right. Let's see. Control. Just getting his character sheet set up or not. Yeah. Okay. I'll roll his assist first. Alright, so he assisted, then I'll roll for you. And it's control security, which is 12, not too bad. Let me see if you have any focuses. Probably not. You do have focuses that would help you identify what that could be out there, but not in closing a door. Let's see. Just make sure you don't have anything else that would be useful. Alright, so do you want to... Oh, actually. So, you don't have momentum to spend to add dice, but you could give me threat, which is my version of momentum, to if you wanted a dice. So, would you like to give me a threat to get a dice? So the difficulty is 2, so the likelihood of you getting 2 successes is, you've got the 1 and you need a 1. Otherwise the assist doesn't count. But the likelihood of you getting 2 successes is not too good. I mean, it's definitely better than if you were rolling engineering, but it's still, like I said, it's up to you guys. What do you guys think? Anybody have any... We'll just say that if you get the door shut, you won't be attacked by a mutant monster. We'll just say that. Alright, so put up the 3, and also is a high likelihood of getting momentum back if, you get more than 1 success on this. So let's see. Okay. Well, the good news is you got 2 successes, so that puts you guys up to 1 momentum. The bad news is you have a 20, which is a complication, a critical failure. So I obviously the complication is going to be that as you're closing this door, a creature appears in front of the door just in time to stick its arm through. It looks mostly human looking or humanoid, but it's got like scales on half of its face. It's got like a big scar going down the other side. It's got like fangs that it's struggling to keep its mouth closed around. And its one arm, or one of its arms, is like a long snake like Leviathan spiky thing that it tries, and it's about probably like 4 feet long, and it tries to like stick it through the door, but you close the door just in time, and it seals on his arm, and it traps him there for a while. It's not going to separate him from his arm, at least not immediately, but he is trapped there, and his snake-like arm, his whip-like arm, is like lashing around, trying to grab at anything and anyone inside. Probably not. How many momentum do y'all have? Are y'all at 1? I think you're at 1. Okay. So another cool thing about Star Trek Adventures, if you have momentum, or you can use threat as well, if you would like to kind of change a little bit of the story or a little bit of the narrative to say that you happen to have your medkit on you because you maybe have thought it might be interesting to, or it might be important to bring along with you on this, potentially emergency situation, you can say that you've had it the whole time if you spend that 1 momentum or if you give me threat. Okay. Do you want to give me threat or do you want to spend the momentum? Okay. So you're at 0 momentum, but you do have your med kit with you, which comes with a hypospray. What would you like to do with it? Okay. All right. So you take out your tricorder and run a scan. I'll roll for you. It's gonna be. Yeah. Yep. So obviously xenobiology is pretty much all of your literally every single focus applies here with the possible exception of herbal medicine remedies, so that's good. All right, so I'm gonna roll. I hope I'm gonna actually, because I can already think of something funny or cool to happen if you get a complication. I'm gonna spend 3 threat to increase the complication range to 5. So if you get if you get a 16, 17, 18, 19, or 20, that is a critical failure. So let's see what happens, because this isn't gonna. It's not gonna. So basically, threat and complications aren't intended to like kill or damage players or anything like that. It's just more like to try to make things a little bit more challenging or interesting. So let's see what happens. Oh, it didn't happen. I can still spend. I'm actually going to still spend threat to do it though. So the good news is you got 3 successes. So you guys are actually up to 2 momentum now because you only needed 1. I'm going to spend 2 threat to say that as Eric Sellers is helping hold that door closed, you see a green energy beam appear around him, and he is transported off of the ship. So as you're scanning, and that happens, the tricorder tells you that this is a humanoid species known to the Federation called an Angosian, but it has been heavily genetically altered and has neural parasite DNA within him. Yeah, they told you that, the neural parasites are back. We need your help trying to figure out how to get them out of, people, etc., etc. So you would know what they are and who they are and what all that good stuff. You would know that about the Enterprise D and encounter. The only thing you really wouldn't know is anything new that has happened basically since you have been transferred out here, which is basically so far everything that has happened up until this point. So you wouldn't know why he's got been genetically altered. You wouldn't know anything about the dreadnought that attacked the Dicarius or anything like that, but you would know the basics basically. Okay. Well, the good news, there's good news. There's good news though. So as you step back from the door has sealed. It's just sealed on his arm. So after a while, you hear on the other side this creature kind of shrieking and growling as he's trying to wrench his arm free, and he's just and then you hear a loud as his arm comes apart from him, and then you hear his echoing footsteps as he lumbers down the corridor away. Okay. I'm gonna roll your insight engineering. Even though you have an engineering of 1, there's a possibility, with a total of 11, that you find something super useful. So let's see. Investigation is a good focus for this. So, oh wow, you did get a 1. So things look really, really strange as far as the power distribution. It looks like there's something dampening the entire ship's power. Something that's not necessarily draining the power away, but just muting it to the point where it's ineffective. And you're able to discern that with some work, you could potentially reroute enough of the power, the dampened power, to astrometrics to either use the sensors or communications. But that's pretty much all you're able to figure out with 1 success. You're going to have to do a control engineering to actually get any of that done. Would you like to attempt that? That is a good thing to try to figure out, because if you get the comms online but you don't know what's out there, you could just tell the enemy where you are. But if you get the sensors online, you can see what's going on, but then you still got to be able to communicate to get help. So well, both are dampened, but the external sensors are far more disabled than the internal. Internal sensors, you can make out that there are people still on the ship, but external sensors, you don't know what's out there. You don't even know if you're in space. Yeah, there's no one immediately near you at the moment. Okay. All right. I'm going to jump, while you're doing that, I'm going to jump to the bridge of the Dicarius, as they are eventually going to make their way in this general vicinity. Alright, so Karava and I think Shaymar as well reached the bridge. Alright. Lieutenant or Dr. Nari has also came to the bridge to assist with some life signs scanners and stuff. You guys, after some time of flying, you guys are probably about 15 minutes out from the Olympic, which, as far as your long-range sensors can tell, is dead in the water. It is not moving. right. I need someone to make a scanning roll. That's going to be reason and science. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now that no amount of successes is going to penetrate the radiation or the interference to get to the actual interior of the ship. But your scan may still reveal important information, depending on... Yeah, yeah, yep. You'll be able to see whatever's going on outside of the interference zone, if there is anything going on. So reason science, I'll roll for the ship because Kamina's not here, which I probably should have done that for other things earlier, but I always forget. Ooh, nice. So with 4, you actually get quite a bit of information. Less than 10 minutes ago, there was another ship here in this very location. This ship was the Scale 8 Dreadnought that you guys had detected. You can tell by the sheer size of the ion trail as it leaves. However, the ion trail goes for, I don't know, several thousand kilometers. So it went to warp, like normal warp, and then just vanishes. The ion trail vanishes. So even if a cloaked ship goes to warp, you can still see an ion trail for a little while. But this ion trail is completely gone. It's as if it just vanished out of space itself. As for the interference field that's surrounding the Olympic, you can definitely tell that there are people still aboard, but you cannot tell how many. You cannot tell what species they are. You can tell that the ship has lost sensors, transporters, communications, warp drive, and shields, as well as pretty much all primary systems. And you know that sensors, communications, and transporters from the Dicarius to the Olympic is impossible, obviously meaning you need to take a shuttle again. Well, the Dicarius is not in. All right, so I'm gonna move you to space. So, wrong space. I'm gonna take you to this one to show you kind of what's going on. So, everything that is inside this orange circle is like a blurry image to you. So you guys are fine as long as you stay out of it. But if you go into that field with your ship will suffer the same effects. At least it won't immediately, probably, but eventually your sensors and shields and everything else will start to fail. So you'll have to take a shuttle through the interference field and to the... one more information for that awesome scan roll. You can also tell from that scan roll that the interference field, the subspace interference field, which is formerly called a diamagnetic field, seems to be a slightly lesser grade than the previous one, the one that the SS Alcatraz was affected by. So that's kind of up to you guys how you want to interpret that, but it's not as strong and it's not as large and it's not as powerful. It is definitely a weaker version of that diamagnetic field that you guys encountered earlier in the first episode. All right. All right. I need security to do control and security to cloak the ship. I will roll for the ship. Actually, Lex, can you roll for the ship for me? Mac, thank you. It's going to be for the ship. It's going to be computers and security. Difficulty's just 1. I assume you guys are going to take the Romulan shuttle that you guys had earlier, right? Oh, nice. So we just need a control and security from Shamar. And you guys will be good to go. So that's automatically going to... As long as he gets 1 success, that's automatically going to give you 2 momentum. So you guys should be... Yeah, I'm assuming you guys are up to 4 momentum. You got to roll 1 more. So, yeah. So you actually are up to 5 momentum. Nice. Alright. So who's going on this away mission? Who else? Alright. You can if you want to. We can say that the chief engineer, Kamina, will be left behind in command of the ship if you want. Don't worry, I won't blow up your ship while everyone's away. Alright, so, yep, you guys are heading that way. I'm going to need a con roll. Control con. Difficulty 1. You'll bring some what? Some Ulans? Alright, let me grab... I will roll for this. Yeah, that's going to be Lex probably. Control con. Alright, 2, 3, 4. So nice. So the difficulty was 1, so you have 3. So you're up to full momentum. I can't wait to see how y'all screw that up. No, I'm just kidding. You are heading just straight into the diamagnetic subspace field, and we are going to jump to astrometrics again. I will roll your control engineering for you unless you can. Dr. Engstrom. Alright, make sure, so your resistance is at the very bottom to the right where it says other equipment. Make sure you write in other equipment body armor and also +2 resistance, please, so that we don't forget again. Alright, are you there, Dr. Engstrom? Okay. When I hear Dr. Engstrom, I think of Dr. Langstrom from Red Dwarf, but y'all probably don't know anything about that. Alright, so let's see. Engineering control, which is the same as insight. Okay. The difficulty is gonna be 4, so I'm assuming there's gonna be some momentum spending going on here. How many momentum do you guys want to spend to make this roll possible? Control engineering, the doctor is trying to get sensors at least partially online. All right, how many do y'all want to do? And I'm asking Engstrom as well. All right, so you want to put it up to 4 dice? Is that what I'm hearing? 4 dice? 5 dice? Yeah. Yeah. And the ship... Yeah, and the ship cannot assist because the ship is the one being affected by it. So, is it 2 momentum for... Add 3? So 5? Alright, so you're... All right. Okie dokie. 2, 3, 4. Nice. Exactly 4. Yeah. You get that. Those sensors. Yeah, you get the sensors online. As you do, you immediately the first thing you see is a Romulan shuttle is coming towards the ship. So the sensors aren't this astrometric sensors are designed to detect like stars light years away. They're not exactly designed to determine what species is in a certain shuttle that's 5 feet away from you. Um, yeah, I kind of figured. Um, you're getting the the Romulan transponder that you are detecting from it, which kind of is like a beacon or it's telling you that it originates from Starbase 123, and is one of the shuttles aboard the Dakarius, which is, as far as I don't remember if it was in your briefing that you were going to be the new chief medical officer aboard the Dakarius, but if it was, then you would recognize that the shuttle is from the Dakarius. Whether or not that still keeps Angstrom kind of, if Angstrom is still kind of paranoid about that or not, it's up to you. Uh, well, you yeah, you would know, you would know regardless that the Dakarius wasn't super far away. That it was on the way to Starbase 123 as the same time you were, and roughly the same distance away from Starbase 123. It's just coming from a different direction, so it's completely plausible that they sent a shuttle to kind of come over and see what's going on and help out. But again, it's up to you and your character whether or not you would actually determine that from everything. Okay. So as you're messing with the computer, you do notice that ship auxiliary power and control has been rerouted to engineering. Um, you are able to, depending on if you would like to attempt this, but like I said, it's up to you. You have access to be able to attempt to hack into it to kind of reroute the controls to you. However, it would be extremely difficult, and considering your low engineering score, it would be a difficulty 5. So you would basically have to spend a lot more momentum and maybe even use a value and a determination to get a free critical success to to make it work. But it is possible. It's something that you would have to decide. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So it would still require a control engineering task because you're gonna have to kind of turn the sensors inward, the astrometric sensors inward. It would be a control engineering difficulty 2 task, so a lot easier. And then it would, after that, it would be another reason and science or task to actually run the scan. So would you like to do that? That's true. All right. Someone disappeared. Looks like it was Shamar. Welcome back, Shamar. So yeah, I'll roll for you then. Difficulty is 2. Do you want to spend a momentum to get an extra dice? Yep. So, and because I know half of you guys are new to Star Trek Adventures, let me explain momentum and threat a little bit better. So, a lot of players that I've seen on YouTube and everything watching it, they kind of get a little bit nervous about using momentum and giving threat. The more you spend threat to get more dice, the more likely you are to get momentum from that. So, and it's there for you guys to use. It's not there to, because if you hoard it, it goes away. It goes away. So there's no real reason to hoard it or to um, and as for the threat, like there's also no real reason not to give someone threat because technically as a GM I could do whatever I want anyway. So giving me threat is just kind of a way of being able to like make it more interesting for you guys in the future. I don't consider it a negative thing at all, as some do. No, it's yeah, no, it's not like that. As far as I mean, every GM and every group of players has their different ways of doing things, but generally speaking, the momentum is best used if it's used a lot because then you have more chance of getting more. The threat is best used if you don't have any momentum, essentially, because, like I said, the worst I can do with a threat, like whether I have 2 threat or 20 threat, I can pretty much do the same thing. So the worst I could do with an extra threat is like increase the complication range by 1 or increase the difficulty by 1 or something like that. So it's not don't be afraid of using momentum or threat. So yeah, I'm gonna increase it to 3. So you guys are down to what, 4 momentum? And I will roll. Oh, the difficulty was 2 and you got 1 success. Let's see. Do you have? Let me see what these talents do because which one's the one that you can re-roll? Is that untapped potential? Okay, let me. I want to just verify. Characters inexperienced but talent bright. Blah blah blah. The character may not. Blah blah blah. Okay, blah 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 blah. Whenever the character succeeds at a task for which they bought 1 or more additional dice with either momentum or threat, they may roll a d6. So I will roll that for you, and I think that if you get an effect, that means you get your. Let me see. The character sees bonus momentum equal to the roll and adds 1 point of threat if an effect roll the character. Okay, so no, you just get momentum, which, we'll see what happens. Oof. Okay, so see, it gives me threat because it was an effect. 1 point of threat, so I'm up to a number. What's up? Okay, yeah. So determination is basically your daily. You get 1 determination per session or episode. The way you use that is your values. So let's say you, for example, you wanted to do that. I am responsible for the well-being of my crew. There's a fine line between methodical and gut instinct. One of the last 2 at a stretch could probably be used to kind of reroute, or not reroute, but turn the sensors inward. I am responsible for the well-being of my crew because even though you didn't know them very long, they were your crew for a brief period of time. But also because if the crew of the Dicarius is here, then you have to you want to try to get an idea of what's going on inside the ship before they arrive because you don't want them to arrive and it become a bloodbath. There is a fine line between methodical analysis and gut instinct. I'm assuming if you're rerouting, not rerouting, I keep saying that. If you're trying to, okay. Okay, so you spend your 1 determination for this session, and what that does is automatically you can either automatically get 2 successes, which is what you need, and then you'll just have to re-roll it again. Or you can re-roll your dice pool of those 3 dice that you just rolled. Which one of those do you think would give you a better chance of success? One of them is 100%. The other one is like 75. So re-rolling your dice pool. Yep. Yeah. Okay. So you, okay. So you, yeah. And you still get the roll, so you get one success, one momentum because you've already got your two successes. So you reroute the sensors to you successfully get them turned inward towards the vicinity of the ship. So it's going to be a reason and science roll. The difficulty is going to be 1. Does anybody want momentum spend, or are you confident that out of 2 dice, um, what's it, 12? So yeah, your total is 12 with a reason of 8 and a science of 4. So do you want to spend a momentum, or are you good with that? Okay. All right. And you got your +1, so you're back up to 5. So that's why spending momentum is usually a good thing. So yeah, you the immediate vicinity, like right outside the door in the corridor, you don't detect anything. You know, the blood and the gore of the guy that ripped his arm out of the door, you can detect that, but otherwise it looks clear. However, further down the corridor, you see with your sensors 2 Romulans and 1 human heading in your general direction. It doesn't look like they intend to go to stellar cartography. It looks like they're just patrolling and they're just heading in your general direction. So yeah, what do you want to do? No, I don't mind. I mean, it on the sensors, it's just like a splotch. It's not like it's a. There's no like, yeah. It. Sensors aren't like taking a video of a corridor. It's more like here's the DNA. Yeah. So nah, it's just telling her where the life signs are in the biology. Ooh. Um. Well, that would be yeah. I tell you what. If you spend a momentum, I will give you that information without a roll or an additional roll. Otherwise, because you would have to configure the sensors once again. Because the yeah, I would say that would be a momentum spend because it's an obtain information. It's basically an additional bit of information on top of the normal information of life signs and stuff like that. So, do you want to do that? Spend a momentum for that information? Okay, I'm assuming yes by the mutedness of it. Okay. So you work a little bit more, and you're able to get the sensors to pinpoint the first thing you figure out is that creature that attacked you does not have a neural parasite in his brain. He simply has neural parasite DNA in him, as in he was mutated intentionally to be the creature that he is with the DNA from the neural parasite. The other thing you determine is the one human that is with the 2 Romulans does not have a neural parasite, and he is armed with a Romulan disruptor. The 2 Romulans that are with him do have neural parasites, and they are flanking him as if they are guards.